I'm here with Colonel Nicole Mann, and I have so much to ask you about. But first, tell me about your spacesuit.
So of course, first we have the NASA meatball.
The meatball.
The meatball is our logo. And then the 100 days patch, you have a milestone for every 100 days in space, and I spent 157 days in space. And then the Mach 25 patch. So when we return to Earth, we're traveling at 25 times the speed of sound.
Unbelievable.
And I'm glad you asked, because
Why?
I brought you something, a Crew 5 patch. So that flew with me in space, and I wanted you
I will treasure
to have
this.
that.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Most people think that when you're 5, you decide you want to be an astronaut. And you don't really find your passion when you're 5, or it's very rare if you do.
Absolutely agree. And I think, these days there's so much pressure put on kids. And for me, I didn't have it all figured out. I knew it was important to get a great education. And then by doing that, these opportunities, open up. And you might go a direction and be like, you know what, that's not for me. And you might change directions. So yeah, it was later on in life, my late 20s, when I first, considered really being an astronaut.
And that's actually when a lot of people do it, because you try different things in your 20s.
Yeah, and you've had those life experiences.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing that I've found that all astronauts have in common is whatever they did before they became an astronaut, their previous job, they absolutely loved it and were passionate about it.
So tell me about the International Space Station. What little I know is it's an enormous piece of equipment that you're living in for 6 months, hurling through space at 17,500 miles an hour. What does that feel like? Are you aware of the movement?
When you go into the cupola, which is the module that's on the belly of the space station, there's 7 windows, and that normally faces the planet. That's the most incredible view, to see the planet from space. And so then you're very aware. And because you're going around every 90 minutes, you get a sunrise and a sunset about every 45 minutes.
What an incredible experience. What's a typical day in the space station? Is there a typical day?
I know we are on the tightest schedule that you can imagine, really, yes.
For 6 months?
For 6 months. The day is lined out in 5-minute increments, so there's a time to go to bed, a time to start the workday, and everything is scheduled for you.
How do you organize meal times? How does that
work?
work?
Your lunch is scheduled. The workday is 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., and so before that you have breakfast and dinner, and we usually come together to have dinner as a crew, and we laugh and we talk and we make jokes and we talk about the day, because it's important to have that human interaction.
What's fun to do on a space station that you can't do on Earth?
Oh my gosh, everything. Water is fun because you can put it on your hands. It's like a gel or a goo, or you can smash your face into it, which is really fun to do. It's fun to play with food. Food in space, I tell kids all the time, okay, it's the one place where you're allowed to play with your food. And my sister, they have some visiting cargo vehicles, and they can send some special food for you as a treat.
Yeah.
She surprised me and sent all the fixings for a charcuterie board. And we put that on our board, and I used honey to try to make everything kind of stay down, because as you move around, it wants to float away. It was so special. It was really fun.
You did 2 spacewalks while you were on the space station. Tell me about them.
That first spacewalk, we actually had a problem. We had some mechanical interference with one of the struts, and we couldn't get that installed. And my husband and son were in mission control, and they said, no kidding, it was like an Apollo 13 moment. Like, engineers were coming in with all the actual hardware and dumping it on a table and being like, okay, we've got to figure this out, And we came back in the door without completing the mission, and it was a horrible feeling, to be honest. It
must have been devastating.
Yeah, one of the worst feelings, and because you think, you start to doubt yourself, like, okay, what could I have done better? Could I have been more efficient? What could I have done differently? 2 weeks later, we went out the door with all these troubleshooting techniques, and we eventually were successful in getting this hardware installed. And I mean, we were cheering in space. It was really, really special.
We've all seen the capsule coming back to Earth, coming through the atmosphere, but what is it actually like when you're in that capsule?
You are literally a ball of fire coming back to the planet. We're moving at Mach 25, so 25 times faster than the speed of sound. It feels like somebody's like standing on your chest.
Oh, I just got chills.
It's just so much pressure. I had to use my hands to lift up my head, because we're at 2.5 Gs, to look out the window, and now it's just on fire with all these different colors and sparks of plasma flying past you. It's just incredible. So we land off the coast of Florida.
Yeah.
SpaceX picks the whole capsule up and puts it on a boat.
Yeah.
And then they pull everybody out. We helicoptered over to Florida, and then we took a jet back to Houston. And your family's there waiting for you.
What did it feel like to be home? It must have been just joyous.
They let your family come on board, so you can have kind of that first special moment together and your big hugs together. And my son, he was 10 when I launched and turned 11 while I was on board. And I told him, okay, you can't grow up while I'm gone. I still want you to be a sweet little boy and be snuggly when I get back. And he was.
That's just wonderful. What was the first meal you had when you came back to Earth?
So my husband cooked steak, just fillets on the grill, and broccolini. And it was amazing. And just the smell of the steak on the grill, was incredible.
I love roasted broccolini.
Roasted
It's just the
broccolini.
best, delicious.
A little bit of lemon juice when it comes off,
exactly.
it's perfect.
And one thing you didn't get to do a lot there is cooking.
Right.
I understand you'd like to learn how to make scallops better. Am I
Oh
right?
my goodness, absolutely. Scallops are
I
so
think
challenging.
I can do that.
You can? I would love it.
I can't fly to space, but I can show you
But
how to
you
make
can
good
make good
scallops.
scallops. I'll take it.